Story number 1. The house was old. That kind of crooked old where the windows didn't quite seal and the floorboards had learned to groan with age rather than pressure. My parents had bought it as a fixer-upper on the edge of a sleepy little mountain town in Washington. I was 17, too cool to care about creaky houses or drafty hallways, and definitely too cool to be scared just because I had to stay home alone for the weekend. They were off to Seattle for an anniversary trip. Left Friday evening. By 8 p.m., I had the place to myself. I made some popcorn, loaded up a horror movie on the old family laptop. The irony wasn't lost on me. And sprawled out on the couch in the living room. The whole house was dark except for the glow of the screen. About 40 minutes in, just as the killer in the movie popped out of a closet, I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. It wasn't coming from the door. Not the windows. It was coming from under the floor. I muted the movie. Silence. I told myself it was just the house settling, like Mom always said. But the taps came again, 3 slow ones, almost polite. Like someone knocking on a door. Beneath my feet. I stood and listened. Nothing. But then the lights flickered, just a single pulse, and I heard the sigh. A soft, low exhale of breath that seemed to rise from under the living room floor. My heart started racing. I grabbed the flashlight from the kitchen drawer, switched it on, and shone it across the floorboards. That's when I saw it. A faint light coming through the cracks between the boards. A blue glow, like moonlight on water, but colder, thinner. I got down on all fours, pressed my ear to the floor. Silence. Then a whisper. Come down. I jumped back, nearly smacked my head on the coffee table. My rational brain kicked in. There's no down under the floor. Just dirt. Foundation. Maybe an old crawl space, but nobody had ever said anything about it. Still, I went to the hallway closet and grabbed Dad's heavy-duty flashlight. Shuffled through coats and boots until I found what I was hoping I imagined. A hatch. Low, flat, covered in dust. Looked more like a warped board than a door. I didn't remember it ever being there before. I stared at it for a long time. Then I made the worst decision of my life. I opened it. A wave of cold air rushed out. It smelled like rotted leaves and copper. There was a ladder going down, metal, slick with condensation. I pointed the light into the hole. It wasn't a crawl space. It was a room. I could see the dirt floor maybe 10 feet down and something scrawled on the walls. Dark, looping script. Symbols I didn't recognize. But what made my stomach knot was that the floor wasn't empty. There were candles melted low. Animal bones. And dolls. Handmade ones with button eyes and sewn-shut mouths. And standing in the corner, a mirror. Cracked, tall, framed in black wood. And in that mirror, I swear I saw someone standing. Not in the room. Just in the reflection. Watching me. I slammed the hatch shut and dragged a bookshelf over it. Then another. Then the TV stand. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I tried to call my parents. No signal. I tried to leave the house. The front door wouldn't open. Not locked. Not stuck. Just wouldn't open. Same with the back. Every window showed outside, the street, the trees, the sky. But when I tried to open them, the locks snapped back like magnets. When I tried to break the glass, the hammer bounced like it hit rubber. I was trapped. And every few hours, from under the floor, come down. By the 3rd day, I stopped eating. By the 4th, the lights in the house never turned off. Even unplugged, bulbs glowed faint blue. At night, shadows moved across the ceiling, stretching long fingers across the plaster, crawling like centipedes. I stopped looking in mirrors. Every time I did, someone else was always standing behind me. Sometimes tall, sometimes hunched. Once it looked just like me, but smiling. I don't remember opening the hatch again. But I woke up once with the bookshelf moved. The hatch wide. A muddy handprint on my ankle. No footsteps. Just that handprint. And a whisper. So close it felt like it came from inside my ear. You've already come down. You just don't remember yet. When my parents came home the next evening, they found the house normal. No lights flickering. No sealed doors. No whispering floors. I was asleep on the couch, filthy, trembling, but unharmed. They took me to a doctor. said it was stress, isolation, hallucination, but they never found the hatch. I know, because it's gone. The floorboards are solid. No seams, no cracks, just wood. But sometimes, at night when I'm trying to sleep, I hear tapping from under the bed, like someone is trying to knock their way back up. Story number 2. It was my first time staying alone in the house overnight. My parents had gone out of state for my aunt's surgery. I was 17, responsible, and the house wasn't exactly scary. It was new, clean, tucked in a quiet neighborhood that had more barking dogs and nosy neighbors than danger. Everything was fine until I walked past the guest bathroom around midnight and noticed something strange. The door next to it was open. Only there wasn't supposed to be a door there. We had a 3-bedroom home, and the wall between the guest bathroom and laundry room was just that, a wall. I stared at the open doorway for a long time before I convinced myself I just never noticed it. Maybe it was a utility closet or something my parents had installed when they renovated last summer. Still, something about the darkness inside the doorway didn't feel right. I reached in, flipped on the flashlight on my phone, and shone it inside. It wasn't a closet. It was a hallway, unlit, narrow, lined with what looked like smooth, gray wallpaper and carpet that didn't match any room in the house. It stretched into blackness for maybe 20 or 30 feet, then curved out of sight. I stood there, heart thudding. This hallway wasn't on any floor plan. I walked backward, went to the kitchen, and pulled out the blueprint from the drawer where we kept all the house stuff. Nothing. No fourth hallway. No additional door. Just 3 bedrooms, the bathrooms, kitchen, living room. I returned to the guest bathroom. The door was gone. Just smooth wall again. I touched it. Solid. I knocked. Nothing hollow behind it. I thought I was losing it. That night, I dreamed of walking down a hallway that pulsed like a throat, with doors breathing in and out along the sides. I kept hearing voices behind the walls, whispering numbers in reverse. 8, 7, 6, 5. When I woke up, my sheets were twisted. I had scratches on my forearms. Not deep, just surface marks, like fingernails had gently trailed over me while I slept. That day, I tried to distract myself. Schoolwork, TV, cleaning. But I kept catching things out of the corner of my eye. A shadow ducking around the corner. Movement on the staircase when no one else was home. My phone kept glitching, playing back recordings I'd never made. One was just me, breathing hard, whispering, "It's behind the wall. It's behind the wall." I never said that. By evening, I avoided the hallway entirely, just in case. Then around 11 p.m., I heard a soft knock. I froze. Came again. Not from the front door. Not the back. From the wall between the bathroom and the laundry room. 3 soft knocks. Then a voice. "You saw me. Now I see you." I screamed, ran to my room, locked the door, and shoved my dresser in front of it. I sat there with a baseball bat and the family dog, who wouldn't stop growling low at the wall. At 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text message. From an unknown number. "Open the door. Let me back in." No number. Just gray text. I didn't sleep. At sunrise, everything was normal. No extra hallway. No sounds. No scratches. But when I went to brush my teeth, the bathroom mirror had something behind the glass. Like a shadow moving through fog trapped inside the mirror itself. That night, I placed duct tape across the wall, just to see if anything moved. I checked it before bed, solid. Untouched. The next morning, the tape was torn. From the inside. Now it happens every few days. A door appears. Sometimes for seconds, sometimes for hours. I even tried to walk through it once. The hallway doesn't just turn, it descends. Like a downward spiral. And the deeper I went, the more the walls changed, wrinkled, organic, breathing. I turned back when I saw a door open by itself at the far end, and something long and faceless stepped halfway out, holding something. It looked like a mirror, with my reflection inside. And I wasn't moving. Now I keep every light on. I don't sleep in my room anymore. I sleep in the bathtub with the curtain open and a flashlight in each hand. Sometimes I hear my own voice calling me from inside the walls, saying things I haven't said yet, telling me secrets I don't understand. Last night, I woke up to the hallway open again, and someone standing at the end, holding a mirror, and smiling. Story number 3. It was supposed to be a quiet weekend. My mom was away on a business trip, and my dad, well, he'd passed away 2 years before, so it was just the two of us in the house most of the time. I was 16, independent enough to stay by myself, and the house wasn't exactly new, but it never felt dangerous. It was just too big sometimes. The first night was uneventful. I ate frozen pizza, stayed up too late watching horror movies on my laptop, and dozed off on the couch around 2 a.m. I woke up at 3:13 a.m. exactly to a strange clicking sound, like metal being tapped. I sat up, heart pounding, thinking I'd forgotten to lock a window or that maybe the pipes were acting up again. It was coming from the air vent in the ceiling right above the living room couch. I climbed up on the coffee table and pressed my ear to the grate. Click, 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 like fingernails on sheet metal. Then a whisper. "He's still here." I fell backward, hitting the floor hard. The noise stopped. The house was dead silent. I told myself it was a dream, a half-asleep moment, and went upstairs to my room. The next day was quiet, but I couldn't stop glancing at the vents. One in the kitchen, one in the hall, one at the top of the stairs. I kept hearing faint sounds like shifting, crawling. That night I fell asleep with the lights on. At 2:54 a.m., I woke up to the sound of something breathing, heavy, wet, right above me. I opened my eyes slowly. The vent in my ceiling was wide open, and 2 hands were gripping the edge. Long fingers, too many knuckles, nails black and cracked. A face slowly lowered into view, upside down, staring at me with glassy, lidless eyes and a mouth that didn't open, just smiled. I screamed and bolted out of the room, slamming the door behind me. No one was there when I got back with a broomstick and my phone camera, but the vent was still ajar. I pushed the grate back in and duct taped it shut. I didn't sleep that night. By the next morning, I had convinced myself it was a hallucination. Stress, lack of sleep, trauma lingering from losing Dad, until I found the photograph. On the kitchen table, it was a printed Polaroid of me, asleep, from above, taken from inside the vent. That afternoon I called my mom. She didn't answer. I texted. No response. I even called her hotel. They said she hadn't checked in. She should have been there by then. I called the police. They sent an officer to check. No sign of her. Her car was found on the side of the road halfway there. No damage. Keys in the ignition. Just gone. That night, the vents whispered my name, over and over again. Not loud, just quiet enough to make me think I was losing my mind. By the third night, the air in the house felt thick, heavy, like something was pressing down from the attic. I didn't dare go up there, not with all the vent covers hanging loose like open mouths. At 3:33 a.m., I saw the man again, standing in the corner of the ceiling. Not hanging, not floating, just standing, upside down, knees slightly bent, head cocked sideways. His mouth opened slowly, impossibly wide. No tongue, no teeth, just darkness. And from it came my mother's voice. "Honey, I'm home. Let me in." I ran. I made it to the front door, tried to unlock it, but the keyhole was gone. Just smooth wood where the knob used to be. I turned to run upstairs, but the hallway had changed. Longer, twisting, covered in vents that seemed to stretch and pulse with breath. From them came whispering, laughing, sometimes crying. My name repeated over and over until it didn't sound like my name anymore. That's when I found the note in my room, scrawled in what looked like charcoal. "He lives in the walls now, and you let him in." There was another Polaroid tucked beneath it. It showed me, standing in the hallway, but I hadn't left my room all night. That was 4 days ago. I don't know what time it is anymore. The clocks don't match. The sun doesn't rise. I don't eat. I don't sleep. The vents stay open now. And every night, at exactly 3:33, I hear my mother's voice. Sometimes it's crying. Sometimes it's screaming. But last night, it laughed. And this time, the laugh came from inside my closet. When I opened it, the vent inside was wide open, and there was a mirror leaned inside. In the reflection, I saw my mom, standing behind me, with no eyes, just vents. Story number 4. It was the summer before I turned 17 when I was left home alone for 5 days. My parents had gone to visit my grandmother, who had fallen and broken her hip. They wanted me to come, but I had finals to prepare for and told them I'd be fine. Our house sat at the edge of a small rural town in Indiana. Nothing but cornfields and woods past the back fence. It was quiet, almost boring. The kind of place where nothing ever happens. Until something did. On the second day alone, I was walking down the hallway toward the kitchen when I saw a door. It was on the left wall between my bedroom and the linen closet. A door I had never seen before. It wasn't new. The paint was chipped, the knob was brass and stained, and the wood around the frame was old and warped, as if it had always been there and the house had grown around it. I froze. I went to the linen closet, opened it. Still there with the usual towels and sheets. Then I looked at the new door again. It wasn't possible. I reached for the knob. It was ice cold. A blast of air seeped through the cracks around it, smelling of mildew and something older, like wet stone and ash. I turned the knob. It opened with a groan, like an old man waking up. Beyond it was a narrow staircase leading downward into pitch black. Not like a basement, though we didn't have a basement. The house was built on a slab. But the staircase was there, carved in old wood, vanishing into darkness that swallowed the light from the hallway behind me. I shut the door, hard, locked it even though I didn't remember there being a lock. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing a dull knocking sound from behind the wall, like something tapping slowly, methodically, once every few seconds. I tried to ignore it. The next morning the door was gone, just blank wall. I thought I had hallucinated the whole thing. Maybe stress, too much caffeine. Until I found the key on the kitchen counter. It was iron, old, cold to the touch, wrapped in a piece of torn yellow paper that read, "Don't open it again unless you're ready." No one had been in the house but me. I tossed the key in a drawer and tried to forget about it. That night, around 2:30 a.m., my phone started ringing. Unknown number. When I answered, I heard breathing. Wet, slow breathing. Then a voice, hoarse and quiet. "Let me out." I hung up. A second later, the house shuddered. A deep vibration like a distant earthquake. The light bulb in my lamp popped. I sat frozen, staring at the hallway. And there it was again. The door. Same spot. Back like it had never left. And now scratches lined the door from the inside. Long, ragged gouges in the wood. Like something had been trying to claw its way out. That night I slept with the lights on. My dog wouldn't go near the hallway. She sat in the corner, whining low. On the third night I found a second door. Inside my closet. Tiny one. Barely 4 feet tall. Built right into the back wall. It hadn't been there before. I opened it and found dirt. A tunnel crawling down into darkness. A smell hit me that made me gag. Like something long dead left to rot in the sunless earth. I shut that door too. Duct taped it. Then I checked the hallway again. Now there were 3 doors. One was open a crack. And something was whispering from inside. I moved out of my bedroom. Slept on the living room floor with the TV on. Every light in the house glowing. Sometime around 4 a.m., I woke up to find the TV off. The lights off. The house dead silent. I tried the light switch. Nothing. Then I saw the hallway. It had changed. Longer. The walls on either side were all doors now. 20 of them at least. Each slightly ajar. Each leaking shadows that moved like oil in water. One by one, the doors creaked open wider. And I saw eyes inside them. Dozens of eyes. Some red. Some white. Some with no color at all. And one voice spoke through them all, layered, shifting, deeper than sound. "You live in my house now." I ran. Out the front door. Which opened, for the first time since this began. I didn't stop running until sunrise. I walked 6 miles to my friend Devin's place and stayed there until my parents came home. When we returned, the hallway was normal again. No doors. No scratches. Just smooth drywall. They didn't believe me, of course. Thought I was sleep-deprived. Maybe grieving Dad in strange ways. But I knew. I knew what I saw. A week later, we put the house on the market. I moved into the guest room. But last night, I heard tapping inside the closet wall. This morning, I opened it. And the door was back, wider than before. And someone had written on the floor in ash, "You open the first door. The rest are yours now." And the key is no longer in the drawer. It's in my pocket. I never put it there. I don't know how it got there. But every time I try to throw it away, it just comes back.